Dr. Tony Huge of Enhancedathlete.com. I'm going to give you a quick overview about Enhanced Athlete, and then we're going to talk with Coach Ken a little bit about the origin of Sarms and how I even got involved in it. So Enhanced Athlete was a company that I started mainly for my friends and my extended friend network to get us the highest quality supplements and research chemicals for improving our quality of life. Not just for bodybuilding and physique competitions, because that's what a lot of my friends were, but also to improve the quality of life of my family and friends, even some of my older family members and friends. Ones that were trying to get in better physical condition, heal their injuries, and lose fat. And so I started Enhanced Athlete as a way to get those top quality ingredients and research chemicals to my inner circle. And it just happened to spread really quickly, and then it turned into a larger research company and also a supplement company. Now, Sarms was one of our first products. The reason why is because I was so blown away at what Sarms could do. They solved a problem that I had. My problem was that I started doing steroids at age 30 years old. I'm now 34 years old. And what I didn't like about steroids was some of the side effects. I didn't have too many short-term side effects, but I was also very concerned about the long-term side effects for my cardiovascular health, my prostate, and I thought that there must be a better way, and then all of a sudden I discovered Sarms. Sarms could be a replacement to steroids to give me all of the health benefits of building muscle and burning fat without the side effects of steroids, basically. But real quick, before we talk to Coach Ken about them, I want to make sure it's very clear that these are research chemicals. They are not approved by the FDA. They may never be approved by the FDA. I took the personal risk of using these to see if they would enhance my own life, and I started documenting my personal experiences as well as dozens of other people that used it in their own lives, and I found them to be extremely helpful, basically like miracle drugs. That being said, I am not promoting you using them. They are research chemicals and the side effects long-term could be unknown. For me personally, it's unquestionable they have less side effects than steroids, if not no side effects at all to my personal body. But everybody reacts differently to different chemicals. Make sure to consult your doctor and don't ever take anything without doctor supervision.
So Anthony, I think most of your viewers want to know, a lot of questions we keep getting on the forums and on the website itself. How does Sarms actually work in the human? How do they actually function? What do they do? How are they an alternative?
Okay, I'm going to overly simplify it and say that when you take a steroid, it affects many different organs in your body. It goes everywhere, right? So it could potentially affect the prostate, the skin, the brain, and sometimes not in a negative way. Sometimes steroids can have a very positive mental effect, but I didn't want to affect all of these different organs. I was looking to affect my muscle cells, my fat cells, potentially a little bit of the libido, a little bit of the mental energy. I didn't want to affect every organ in the entire body. So SARMs stands for Selective Androgen Receptor Modulators. The key word is selective. They're selective because they go into the muscle cell and affect the receptors in the muscle cell more than the other receptors in the body. Doesn't mean it couldn't potentially have any impact on the prostate or the heart, but the impact is so minimized that in my experience, I've experienced no side effects, and virtually none of the people that have reported any data to me on their use of SARMs have reported any side effects. So that's really why SARMs were created. Now, if you look back through history, all of the steroids, 90% of the steroids, were created for things like muscle wasting disease, for cancer and HIV patients. And then bodybuilders get a hold of them and they take 10 times the dosage and they grow huge muscles. That's the same reason why SARMs were created. SARMs were actually created by drug companies to be replacement for the steroids, to have that same benefit of steroids without the side effect. They are not FDA approved though. Some of them are still undergoing FDA trials and some of them are not going anywhere. They may someday become prescriptions. Until then, thank God, I can use them as research chemicals in my own body.
So another question I keep getting asked too is, with SARMs, at one point we talked about, you feel that at some point SARMs may replace steroids, anabolic steroids, because the anabolic effect and the androgenic effect is lower in SARMs than it would be in steroids. Do you really feel at some point we might see a turning point or tipping point where steroids might just go away? Or do you think SARMs will replace that? I mean, how do you really feel about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Trevor, come here. Let me show you a bodybuilder who could have not gotten this much muscle with SARMs, okay? And just keeping it real, guys, you cannot get this much muscle on just SARMs. Okay, SARMs, because they interact with just the muscle cell and they don't interact with the other organs, they also don't give some of the benefits of extreme muscle growth, extreme muscle hardening. But the thing is, how many of us actually want to be as big as Trevor? I mean, I do. but most people out there don't want to be this big. So why would they take steroids? Why would you take something that could potentially make you this big, but could potentially have the side effects, rather than a research chemical that potentially has no or much less side effects than steroids? That being said, SARMs are just as anabolic in the muscle as things like testosterone. If you just look at a muscle cell and how it interacts with SARMs, it interacts the same way as steroids. So what the SARMs are missing for extreme bodybuilder stage-ready muscle is the effects of the other organs in the body, like in the liver, the conversion of more HGH into IGF, like the sensitization of the body to IGF. Now, my experiments have been to use SARMs and then also to try including other components of what I call the anabolic matrix to see if they can give the same effect as steroids. And I think it can get pretty close. And that is to combine things like SARMs with things like growth hormone, with local growth factors. And we're going to get into all of this later. But to answer your question, Coach Ken, SARMs can get very close to all of the benefits of steroids with very few of the side effects. Yes, the answer is yes.
Another question I had too was, how do you feel about SARMs in general? Like, maybe most people don't want to be as big as Trevor. So are we offering an alternative to steroids? Let people make their own choice. And what is your mission behind this whole concept you come up with?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends also on steroids, and some aren't as lucky as me. My side effects weren't too bad, enough to try and find an alternative because health is my first concern. But I knew for some of my friends also that they could take SARMs or something as a replacement to steroids potentially and have just as good of effects without the side effects. So my mission was to find these chemicals, to use them on myself to see if they actually worked, to prove to my friends that they actually work, and then to bring my friends in one by one and experiment on them if they would allow me. Turns out they wanted me to experiment on them. And we got some great data, some amazing results. We've got some other competitors that actually competed in classic physique and physique competitions and won on SARMs. So I know the potential of what they can do. I think the problem is a lot of people are using them incorrectly. A lot of people are not taking the right dosages. They misunderstand the general approach to SARMs. And that's what we're going to explain in the next video. We're going to explain how I think SARMs are being misused and how they potentially could be used properly for maximum effects of extreme fat loss and muscle building. Be swole and swole, my friends of freedom, my pioneers of human evolution.